LSU and Brian Kelly's transfer rampage continues. Unabated, uninhibited, unleashed, fully unleashed. LSU sign two high-impact players within the trenches. Get that Florida State symbol out of here. Patrick Payton, dynamic edge rusher who we have discussed and talked about for days, show after show after show. If you are a daily listener of ours or consumer of our content, subscriber in any way, shape, or form, you know this. We've been discussing this, crediting those who broke the stories of his visit. That was Shea Dixon, and now Matt Zenitz reported that Patrick Payton committed. We had heard that things were looking very good for LSU, and I was kind of waiting for that green light. Matt Zenitz beats us to it. Matt Zenitz reports that Patrick Payton, an absolute animal over the last 2 seasons for Florida State, signs with LSU. And then, not only that, LSU seal up Virginia Tech, versatile Virginia Tech interior offensive lineman. We're talking guard/center, Braelin Moore, another who we have been forecasting for some time on the site, in articles and on these shows, that these guys would eventually join LSU, because it's not only the prudent thing to do. Now that LSU have shown, it just seems like there's no limit to these NIL possibilities or signing possibilities in the portal. We like we were saying yesterday, it feels almost like LSU can sign anybody right now. I mean, my God, it's been wild. It's been wild and crazy to cover. Mike Prima is fired up. He says, so glad the Bayou Bengals are getting dogs in the portal this season. Hell yeah. Hey, here's the thing, man. It's not even just dogs as well, but like, we needed competition at center. We finally got that. I mean, how did we not have competition, or at least another option other than a redshirt freshman last year for center? That was crazy. That was crazy going into the season, thinking you could get away with that, And we did, for the most part, really, even though DJ Chester had some really poor stretches. The dude didn't get hurt. He didn't turn the ball over, religiously, even though he had some bad penalties and stuff. Still, we basically got away with it, considering we only had one available center. Even Charles Turner went down, and we needed DJ Chester, who was then a true freshman, to come off the bench for 19 snaps. So it's crazy that we didn't go into the portal last year and solve this problem. Well, obviously, they learned from that. Brian Kelly, his staff, Austin Thomas, Brad Davis, of course, who's just, people question this guy's development. They question what he can bring to the table for LSU. It's just like, stop. This dude continues to show that he can recruit the best, bring in the best, and really, really reliable as far as not only bringing in all of the top guys to the table for LSU to compete, but now when you're talking about sewing up the NIL part of this whole thing, there's almost no limit to who LSU can sign at this point. It's getting ridiculous, and we're getting really fun to cover, because it seems like every target has been a hit. And we got a really nice note here from Jeff Marcon, who says, Lon Phillips, BK kicking ass in the portal. You are demand tracking all the incredible additions. We, your fans, would love a recap of BK's portal haul so far. Thanks in advance. I mean, Jeff, if you've been watching, you've seen that we have been recapping it each and every time as it's gone down, like jumping on here and we just got Nick Anderson, we just got Braelin Brown and whoever else, Mansoor. It's just it's been an avalanche, but we can do that. And so with Jeff requesting that we did a show, it was like, you know what? We were already thinking of doing a live show anyway. Hell yeah, man, let's do that. LSU are at a good spot here. Brian Kelly said 12 to 15 guys, right? 12 to 15 guys, 15 guys that they were going to go for in the portal. And you thought maybe you were going to lose JV and Tobiano to the portal as well, but Kelly also announced today that Tobiano will be moving to safety. So that you're going to have that 5-star versatile DB returning next year as well. So LSU have really sewn up the roster management part about this. And I think they've made a lot of fan-friendly moves, okay? But it's not only fan-friendly moves, they've made the right moves so far. Like, these are players LSU should be pursuing. These are players that LSU should be trying to sign anyway. It's almost a crime when you're talking about LSU not being involved in the NIL battles of the last few years. LSU getting taken to the cleaners for some of these players, being right at the table, being able to out recruit any other program. Really, always having great, damn good recruiters on this staff, whoever's been the coach. But there was just a missing piece, and it was very clear for all to see. And a lot of different guys, recruits, guys in the portal, walked because those type of financial opportunities were not there or even available or like discussed at all. LSU's obviously switched that and gotten with the times, but they've done it on their terms. They haven't just like, oh, money, boom, they've done this like still in a calculated, considered way. And it's been very fun to watch for LSU fans, right? If you're an LSU fan, this is what you want to see in like if you love the building of a potential championship roster and things like that, the mythology of the game, the all that type of stuff. This is kind of football erotica for you, where it's like, we're putting these incredible pieces together for a special run in 2025. Keeping the band back together by, making sure you get Garrett Nussmeier to come back. You made sure Chris Hilton Jr., Aaron Anderson returned, of course, and I expected those two to return. I didn't really even think that was even news worth reporting. Like, of course they're coming back. But you lost some really big pieces to the team. Let's not sugarcoat this. You lost 4 of your 5 starting offensive linemen, just to start with. That's tough. That's even if you get the top guys in the portal, you can't buy chemistry. So, that's something that's going to be it's something that's going to have to be tested not only in the off season but during the season. That's going to be very interesting to see how LSU can do that. A copy and paste type of offensive line. We've seen that fail a lot in this modern NIL era of college football, but we'll see. We'll see, because that's a very veteran offensive line, but they're all going to the draft, and it sucks to lose them. Mason Taylor, tight end, it sucked to lose him. But if we could keep him, that would have been huge. Would have been huge to keep Mason Taylor. Of course, I'm not really shedding too many tears losing Kyron Lacey. I'm not shedding too many tears losing Major Burns. Josh Williams, it sucks to lose. You wish that dude could stay at LSU forever, but you hope he actually kicks ass in the NFL. So for me, I'm kind of bullish on this new wide receiving core in comparison to last year. There was just not enough explosion last year. Not literally, like, no deep threat at all. And you see that, people were saying, well, it's because Nussmeier can't throw it. Nussmeier can't throw it deep. Nussmeier doesn't have the deep ball. Bullshit. And he proved that immediately. And it's almost like people forgot what he did against Georgia in the SEC title game in 2022. It's like people forgot what he did against Wisconsin. It's like, this dude has the touch to throw the deep ball, and then he unleashes it against Oklahoma. Why? Where did it come from? Well, it's like finally the O-line were actually able to give him some time. He wasn't getting shots to the kidneys and destroyed, but also he actually had a target to throw that was actually going deep. And for some bizarre, I don't know why reason, Joe Sloan was not running those type of routes deep down the field with a CJ Daniels or even a Mason Taylor, Kyron Lacey. There was very rare that you saw deep shots to those guys, but CJ Daniels was someone I was like, why isn't this guy even used as a deep threat at all? There was just one or two, one to Kyle Parker, and then you got those two to Chris Hilton Jr. at the end. It was just a very, very weird offense this last year, and it didn't work for anybody. But there was a lot of things that worked against the offensive play calling as well. There was poor execution. There were some key injuries, but there was no running game to speak of. No running game to speak of, and there was so much pressure and so much put on Garrett Nussmeier to deliver every single play, right? And now, to me, it feels like, okay, you kind of wasted the weapons you just had. You just wasted Jaden Daniels' 2023 offense with Malik, with Brian. Really should have been a championship offense. Could have outscored everybody if our defense had just been sort of good, not even great, just like okay. If our defense was like, if our defense had played like this year in 2023, we win a championship that season. We had 3 losses, and there's still talk of LSU win out and do this. We can still make the SEC title game. That's how weak, or maybe just how insane the parity was in college football this year. And LSU had thrown these opportunities away. Under Brian Kelly, Coach O was able to seize on one of them in 2019. Les Miles before him was able to seize on one moment and then kind of, I don't want to take anything away from 2011 because that was a magical season, and those are that is easily one of the best LSU teams. But we know what happened in the Superdome, January of 2012, to end that season. We know what happened in that rematch, sadly, Game of the Century Part 2. But there's, all sorts of factors for why that went down, whatever. But point is, LSU have had different coaches Nick Saban before Les, who won a championship in 2003, was able to seize on that, go to a Sugar Bowl in 2001, able to seize on these moments. Brian Kelly might be at LSU longer than all of those coaches. I mean, Les Miles was there from 2005, 2006 to. Les Miles was there for 11 years, so okay. 11, 12 years for Les Miles. So if Brian Kelly can contend with that, that'd be crazy. So if Brian Kelly lives out his contract, we've already understand that he's probably won a championship. And Kelly's already had a decent chance to do that. Twice, in my opinion, with Jaden Daniels. No, okay, so take that back. Just once. Okay, once to win a championship in 2023, and then at least this season, how crazy the landscape is, how we lost to Florida and Billy Napier and that team, how we lost to Texas A&M. Like, LSU should be playing in this college football playoff, this crazy new format that we've had going down. And it's kind of hard to have any interest in it. A few blowouts here. Texas Clemson is on right now. We'll put that on. Oh wait, no, it's on HBO Max. Luckily, we have that. Yeah, it's this was a season where I'm stunned that LSU, even with a weak team, could not have made it in. And so you feel like Brian Kelly felt the pressure at LSU finally. He felt the intense pressure and felt how much it actually matters to people. But then also, not only that, finally, some people came up to him, some companies came up to him and said, hey, you know what? Circle the wagons. Here's some money, BK. Let's help you. Let's help you out. Let us help you, bro, kind of thing. And then Kelly starts working the room, getting the money. Kelly starts really circling the wagons, doing his political badass sorcery, okay? And he takes control of the situation in a way that no one was expecting, because people were just freaking out and just, Brian Kelly's going to get fired. Brian Kelly's losing the locker room, blah, blah, blah. And as much as I was pretty still bullish, as much as I was still pretty bullish on Brian Kelly being the right coach for LSU, and thought the firing talk and all the messages I got about, we got to fire BK, like all this insane shit, it was ridiculous to me. I would still say, yeah, he needs to improve. He needs to get going here. He's missed some opportunities. But he's literally assembled a dream team staff. He's literally had a Heisman-winning quarterback. He's literally brought in Mason Taylor. Coach O signed Mason Taylor, but Brian Kelly made sure Mason Taylor maintained his commitment on signing day. Will Campbell, Emory Jones, the same thing, where Coach O earns their commitment, but Brian Kelly makes sure that they stick it out with him through that coaching transition. Brian Kelly has had 3 top 5 classes in a row, right? maybe this class was number 6 or something like that, ranked consensus-wise. But you've seen we had a number 1 class for a while with when we had the number 1 quarterback, Bryce Underwood. Still walk out of this class with absolute objectives nailed to the wall with 2 really dynamic corners. When you're talking about LSU, absolutely had to get some really top corners, not just some bodies, not just some guys that could be a bridge. You needed to get the best of the best in the 2025 class, corner-wise. What does Corey Raymond do? Aiden Anding, and the number 1 corner in the country, one of the top players, top 10 overall players in the country, right? DJ Pickett. Make sure that young man sticks all the way to the end, signs with LSU. Despite Steve Wiltfong reporting that he was going to Oregon. While our pick, and you can see this, our pick maintained and stayed with Pickett going to LSU. All you have to do, go to Content Home. Let's see. Pickett. LSU Odyssey pick for DJ Pickett. LSU. Boom. I think there's no way Corey Raymond will lose him as it stands right now. This is a major test for the DBU Miyagi. And that was November 27th. July 17th when he commits. And this is before his commitment. Our pick it. However, the factors that make me lean towards selecting LSU as Pickett's eventual landing spot are all about his 5 visits in 5 months, his fortified relationship with Corey Raymond, something money cannot trump, how LSU paved the way of his recruitment process, the next Stingley, all this stuff. I'm going to pick LSU, and that was with a 70% confidence at a time when no one was picking LSU to get DJ Pickett. No one. So just not trying to toot my horn, but I'm just trying to paint a picture that, like, when we make a comment like we maintained our pick with DJ Pickett, we're not just saying bullshit. The proof is right there. Like, that was just trying to make a point right there. Anyway, back to the point of this show, which is LSU dominating and destroying in the transfer portal, which is potentially going to give Brian Kelly his championship at LSU. Because what you're doing, finally, you're seeing Brian Kelly pulling off here with LSU is the circling of the wagons with all of the right pieces on the field. You're starting to load up on the trenches now. And it's not going to stop. There's another offensive lineman out of Northwestern that we have detailed on LSUODYSSEY.com. Or wait, no, sorry, that article has not been published just yet. But there is a offensive lineman out of Northwestern that there's more information on that will be posted on LSUODYSSEY.com. But he is likely to be the next target for LSU. You're going to see LSU continue to stay on this heater as long as there are funds, as long as there are still targets to go after. But right now, they have, in a way, locked the rest of this roster in with the retainment funds. Transfer portal is still open. Players theoretically could still leave, but I don't see that happening at this point. I don't see too many more. I don't see too many more transfer departures. I don't see too many more guys leaving right now. Some of the guys that we really were concerned with and thought were going to leave, Caleb Jackson, Javian Topiano, luckily they stayed. Huge pieces to the puzzle here when you're talking about running back room that's losing Josh Williams. You still got Caden, you still got Caleb. Now you get Trey Holly back, Harlem Berry, JT Lindsay. That's a stacked ass room. That's a stacked room for next year. So LSU, Brian Kelly, we talked about it, had the Heisman season with Jaden Daniels, where it should have been more than a Heisman. It should have been a national championship that season. Michigan that year, LSU would have destroyed them, even if our defense was just playing below average. You give that offense a couple extra possessions every game, they beat a team by double digits. That offense was as almost flawless as you could possibly be. May have topped 2019 numbers because of Jaden Daniels' dual threat, just virtuosity, if they had played the same amount of games as the 2019 season and playing 15 games. But then you get into 2024, a season where Garrett Nussmeier, first year, a lot of pressure on him, a lot of responsibility to deliver every play, 400-something pass attempts. It's ridiculous how many times we threw the football, and a lot of it was short out patterns to ridiculous little routes to the outside, to the hashes. That just, these things are going nowhere. We're not working the middle of the field. Every time Joe Sloan worked the middle of the field to Aaron Anderson, boom, touchdown, big play. Kyron Lacey, touchdown, big play. The list goes on and on. Even C.J. Daniels, who had 0 touchdowns, big plays anytime he threw over the middle of the field. So LSU bring in all these weapons now in 2025, where you have some actual explosion. These aren't pretenders. These aren't, hey, I could be the guy. Nick Anderson has been the guy. And just like C.J. Daniels had a big season, had also a season cut short by injury. What will we see? What will we see? Well, when you're looking at who LSU has added in the portal, you have to be just salivating right now. Let's get a list here. I don't care where. We should make one for the site. Patrick Payton has been unstoppable as an edge man. You lose Braden Swinson, you make up for that loss immediately. You lose Mason Taylor, you make up for that loss. Not make up for like, hey, this is a guy who's gonna catch exactly as many passes as Mason Taylor did. We're not gonna feature the tight end, at least not Bauer Sharp, as much as Mason Taylor. 79 targets for Bauer Sharp this year. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. I'm sorry, Bauer. Jack Bauer. But he's still going to be a featured part of the offense. It's still going to be a big deal for LSU here, getting Bauer Sharp and being able to replace such a big position, tight end, with a player who's already proven to be successful at Oklahoma in the SEC. And then what I find really interesting is that LSU basically just went ham here in the portal. And every single, I mean, if you look at it, LSU had no option. LSU had no option. And now they have the number 2 overall transfer portal class. I think they should be number 1. It's ridiculous. But yeah, Braelin Moore. Oh, this is also showing guys who've left. I don't care about putting all of this in one. Like, I want to just see all the guys we brought in. Like, this is stupid. Okay. Braelin Moore, Sider Mitchell, Grant Chadwick, Middle Tennessee punter. Okay. Nick Anderson, Destin Hill, Mansour Delane, Jack Pyburn, Michael Van Buren. You solved the quarterback dilemma from the 2025 class with a guy who at least has a few years of eligibility. Former Nebraska edge man, Jamari Butler, who had 7.5 sacks, I believe it was, last season. Barian Brown, another receiving target out of Kentucky, who was fantastic for Kentucky last year. Jakeem Jackson, probably a project corner, but still a guy that Corey Raymond pursued and signed. But he had some moments where he struggled. He had some moments where he was, did some good things though. So, okay. That's so weird. I didn't know JVR Suggs had another season of eligibility. JVR Suggs enters the transfer portal. I didn't even know that. I really didn't even know that. It's been such a crazy, wild, weird, insane transfer portal. And it's wrong, in my opinion, that there's a transfer portal going on in the season, during not even in the season, during the postseason, during signing day. Like, what the hell is that about? That is insane to me. That is stupid to me. You have to fix that, college football, immediately. That's bad. That's bad. I mean, there's already way too it's already insane enough for a coach to try and keep his roster together nowadays with the current college football system. You're going to try and do basically the portal and National Signing Day overlapping with the current postseason. You got the AD at Alabama saying fight back and give me money and we're gonna pay our way back into the college football playoff and you got this ridiculous weak ass landscape LSU should have taken advantage of and gotten into the playoff already this season. And instead we're not there. Instead we've let some really weak ass DEI teams take over. Teams that you think LSU would be able to overcome. there isn't really one dominant team in this entire season. It's been Oregon, and they've played Ohio State and who else? They played like two big teams, Boise State as well. They played like two teams all year. Like, who gives a shit? You haven't even competed. And so people want to cry about the SEC and say the SEC is not your year and you sucked because you lost all these games. Yeah, it's because teams actually went for it this year, knowing that multiple losses would still keep them, they would still be in it. They just went for it. And it was so much more. This was such an incredible college football season to watch because of that. And LSU had some great games, but LSU should have absolutely been in this thing, and it's a joke we weren't. And all of that aside, when you lose Bryce Underwood, that's what starts this all. That's what starts this all. You lost Bryce Underwood because you couldn't pay, $4-3 million, whatever the difference was. Some people say it was only a difference of $2 million that LSU wouldn't pay. I don't believe that. Some people say it was $4 million. Some people say it was $6 million. Whatever it was, LSU didn't have the money. Michigan had Larry Ellison, right? Really, Larry Ellison's wife. And so this woman gets Bryce Underwood to basically red wedding LSU. It was crazy. And right then, you knew this is going to show exactly the type of head coach Brian Kelly is right now. Because this is such a huge hit to what he's building. Everything he's building. You basically were like, okay, well, we got that 2025 class full of absolute dogs who could start as freshmen. You knew you could count on those players to deliver, the DJ Pickett's of the world, the CJ Rosses of the world, who we just interviewed last night, fantastic, the Zach Weeks of the world. These freshmen are going to be absolute stunners for LSU. And of course, you thought Bryce would be your class quarterback. You lose Bryce Underwood. And suddenly something clicked in Brian Kelly where he's just like, no more Mr. Nice Guy. We need to go get receipts. We're going to the national championship type. That's when he says that quote. That's when the gloves came off. But more than that, Kelly just shows that he just shows a type of, like, there's blood in the water, and he can smell it, and he's ready for war. There's just this vibe where it's like you feel like there is a sense in the air, in my opinion, that this could be the season. And that's after LSU have lost Mason Taylor, the program's greatest tight end. That's after LSU have lost Will Campbell, possibly the greatest left tackle to ever play at LSU. And Emory Jones, possibly the most versatile offensive lineman in program history at LSU. And then you lose Garrett Dellinger, very reliable, going to be drafted in the top 4 or 5 rounds. Miles Frazier, the same thing. You'll lose these guys, all 4 at once. Mason Taylor, the program's greatest tight end. Kyron Lacey led the SEC in touchdowns. You lose Josh Williams, your leader at running back. You lose, Sage Ryan now to the portal, goes to Ole Miss. He was starting for you at safety. You lose Jordan Allen. He was a young, promising up-and-comer at safety. J.K. Johnson goes to the portal. You lose a lot of Deshaun Womack on the edge as well. Deshaun Womack, and then you lose Braden Swinson, of course. You knew you were going to. This was going to be his last season of eligibility. And the fact that you lost Braden Swinson, Deshaun Womack, okay, and you've replaced them, just totally replaced them with Patrick Payton, who's on our screen right there, is an absolute stud. And you also got Jack Pyburn. You got Jamari Butler. You got 3 dudes. Am I forgetting anybody even? But Payton, Pyburn, Jamari Butler. I mean, that is awesome. And then who did you have already? Gabe Relaford, who's an absolute freak of nature, who must play, going to play. You know, it's an interesting room. It's an interesting room, and LSU are probably going to get one more player in that position. Am I forgetting any other edge guys that we got? LSU bring in a DT to add to the defensive tackle room that is very thin, very, very thin. I mean, I didn't even know JVR Suggs had another year of eligibility. I thought if he did, he'd of course return. We lose him even. LSU bring in Sydir Mitchell from Texas, who, you know, many people are saying, well, he's a depth guy, a rotational guy, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes those guys win you games. So I don't care. Stack the defensive tackle room now. We have to stack them. So if we have only 15 spots portal wise that we're going to sign, the rest of these signings have to be on the trenches because we've already gotten a lot of receivers, a lot of targets. You know, Barian Brown, Nick Anderson, Destin Hill, Bauer Sharp. That's impressive. That's a very impressive haul offensively. Okay. You have to stack the offensive line. You have to stack the defensive line, or this is going to mean nothing. Nussmeier can put up 55 touchdowns next year, 4,500 yards, okay? But if he takes an absolute beating, gets injured, misses a few games that are key, or gets knocked out in a key moment, things can change on you very quickly. And LSU have to play this balance where, okay, we've got a ton of weapons now, but we still have to run the damn football. We still have to have a meat and potatoes attack here, even though we've got all these litany of weapons now in the receiving corps. It's beautiful. You're going to see a passing attack that's going to be special. I can guarantee you that. With the speed, the playmaking after the catch, the route running on display within this receiving room, Garrett Nussmeier is going to work with them, and they're going to turn into absolute freakish dogs. But here's the thing. You have to protect Garrett Nussmeier this season. I don't care if, this offensive line has to have some type of chemistry. I don't care where it's from. You need to get a couple guys that have played together, at least something. This Virginia Tech guy, you bring in Braelin Moore. Is there another Virginia Tech offensive line that's in the portal? If there is, go after him if he's decent. McConaughey's liking that score. They're up 18. He just did a line of cocaine in the bathroom. He's coming out for the second half. I'm still Magic Mike. Oh, shit. Yeah. Woo! Woo! Texas, Texas. Like, my God. And so I'm loving how Brian Kelly has built this staff. It is beautiful to me. It is sexy to me how he's not only built this staff over the last year and a half, retaining Brad Davis, getting rid of Brian Pullen, firing Corey Raymond, rehiring him, firing Blake Baker, rehiring him, whatever you want to say, like, it's a dream staff right now. And now the way that they've built this roster that has some serious issues still going into this, and going into this season, a bunch of holes everywhere, a bunch of problems. You needed multiple guys in multiple spots. You were losing some serious talent, some serious experience, especially. You were losing some guys who really clocked the miles at LSU. Sage Ryan played a ton of games at LSU. Major Burns played a ton of games at LSU. Greg Penn III played a ton of games at LSU. Will Campbell III, Emory Jones Jr. These guys played for 3 straight seasons, every game starting. Will Campbell only missed that one game, Tennessee, due to a medical emergency, as we'll call it. Something I've suffered a few times in the past. But I don't really remember them missing too many games. So LSU needed guys who not only can produce on the field, but guys who are ready to plug and play, guys who can assimilate into their surroundings, guys who are going to come in with kind of a professional, we're going to do this to go to the NFL type of mentality. I know that sounds bad. I don't care. If that makes Patrick Payton a better player, thinking I'm going to get 20 sacks, break the LSU single season sack record, set the all time record, and then I'm going to go, it's going to make me a first round pick. I'm going to be a top 5 pick. More power to him. I want him to be as hungry as possible. Same goes for Jacobian Guillory coming back from a torn Achilles. Same goes for Don McKinley, who's a freshman. Same goes for Whit Weeks, who's a superstar. Same goes for his brother Wes. Same goes for Garrett Nussmeier. Same goes for any player on this team. But it's not really a mercenary vibe when you're learning from Kevin Peoples and being developed by Kevin Peoples. And that's also a big reason why Patrick Payton took a visit to LSU and he was already locked in. I told you they weren't going to let him leave without a commitment. It's the same thing I told you about Nick Anderson. This group is big time on this. And Bobby Barham deserves big time kudos and big time credit for this Patrick Payton move here. I haven't seen him get too many plaudits, but he will from us. Let's get into some of these comments. I just feel like this is how you build a attempt for a championship team, even though it sucks that LSU lost some big pieces, some big massive pieces to this team, massive pieces to the program. You can possibly plug and play, replace these guys, and go on a run here in 2025. Oh, what a one-handed catch there. That was nuts. What an amazing play. Ewers with a brilliant little throw there. Jared Addison says, I'm glad we got a punter. Those 35-yard punts were bad. Man, it was... I mean, you thought Blake Oceandorf was going to be great, and he would just take over from Payton Todd, because Payton Todd wasn't covering it. But Oceandorf would either be really good, like have perfect, like he would boot the motherfucker, or it would be like a little pooch. Like, it was so hot, so cold, it was so inconsistent, crazy. Paul Tarver says, BK Presser today revealed Tradez working out at TE and blocking technique for a bowl game. Well, obviously, I mean, of course he's working out at tight end, bro. I mean, I'm not trying to be like a know-it-all or something, but like, of course Tradez would be working out at tight end. That's his position. Not trying to be like rude about it, but like, that's his position, Paul. Like, of course he'd be working out there, brother. Blocking technique. Why they shouldn't put him in a blocking situation. Just flex him out wide and get him the football if he's in there. You know, don't try and get him hurt blocking people, because he's not that good at it anyway. And he's big. He should be, but he's just not. We've seen that. Maybe they can improve it on that, though. We'll see. Jared Addison says, if they'd have spent all the money on Underwood and the few other players, it would have been 2023 all over again. I'm glad they're spreading it around and getting players to compete for a natty. Well, I mean, it would have been like, yeah, basically Bryce Underwood having to compete against the world, you know, for the next few years, while the team is basically Underwood, a couple guys on offense, a few guys on defense, and that's it. And it's just not enough. You have to have a unit on defense to win a national championship. You have to have a unit on offense to win a national championship. Usually, oh, what a great run that is. Usually you just have to have, you know, a core group of like targets, like 3-4 receivers, that usually like just 3 that you always trust, you always go to and feed. You know, a Jamar Chase, a Justin Jefferson, a Terrace Marshall, and then a tight end, a Thad Moss, and then a dynamic dual threat running back, hopefully. And that's, you know, who you feed, and then you have a couple guys off the bench who come in and get a few reps here and there. Like, that's really what you do, is keep it simple, keep it more focused offensively. Defense, you need more bodies. You need that depth, and that's what cost us against Alabama, against A&M, against Florida. We didn't have enough bodies to deal with that exhaustion, that intensity, that pace. Arch Manning gets stuffed. Arch Manning and Quinn Ewers in a dual quarterback system. Very, very strange. If that works, that would be pretty cool. And it's kind of cool to watch. I'm going to be honest with you. But who's in there now? Ewers is back in. Okay. Jumbo set. That's such an easy play to read. You knew they're running the football. There's nothing going on there. You're not even moving a guy out wide to stretch him out. Like, look at that. That you bring in the formation so tight, you make it so easy. No one has to cover any ground to get there. Like, make the guys actually run. Close down some space. Let's settle for a field goal. I don't want to get hit too hard moment there. That was terrible from Texas. Now up 31-10 though, and they're playing in the playoff, and we aren't, sadly. Jared Addison says, Sage Ryan going to Ole Miss is a win for us. We'll see. I think LSU really did not utilize him in the best way. Playing him at corner for 2 seasons made no sense. Playing him at nickel, I mean, he had some good moments as a freshman, but playing him at corner for basically a year and a half was very strange. And he had some great moments. He had some poor moments. But overall, forcing a lot of turnovers over the last few years. A lot of turnovers if you look at the numbers. Getting a lot of TFLs, actually. He had 4.5 TFLs last year. Something like 6 pass breakups this year. Didn't allow a touchdown in coverage the last 2 years. I understand. He had some big whiffs in the run game. But he was someone who always got way too much criticism than he deserved. And I don't understand it. It's so easy, and it's always a very lazy thing to say when you and I both know about this game and about the safety position. If you have a Troy Polamalu and Ryan Clark back there, or a LaRon Landry and a Sean Taylor, that's, you got 2 guys. You can be as aggressive and as take as many chances as much as you want in your position, because the other guy in that safety tandem, he's got you. Sage Ryan was never in a solid safety tandem. He never played his natural position even until his final season. And that was after starting this first game and a half out of position again at corner. So considering he did all that, didn't, whine and cry and transfer, I have no problem with him leaving in his final year of eligibility. Like he understands how serious it is that he gets his shot, that he plays a full season, he gets as many reps as possible. And he's going to start at Ole Miss probably easier than he would start at LSU. RY says, y'all's running back room is still nice. Yes, like I just said, man. I mean, we've got, it's pretty stacked when you're talking about Caden Durham, Caleb Jackson, Trey Holly coming back, hopefully, with the legal stuff. Maybe John Emery Jr. And then JT Lindsay, Harlem Berry. Who am I? Malachi Lane. Who am I forgetting? I mean, it's a that's a really formidable running back room. That's a damn good running back room. Paul Tarver, you were correct, Lon. Run to win in 25. Well, I mean, like, I wasn't meaning it that extreme. I was just meaning, like, you cannot let Nuss take so many shots getting hit so much this next season. You have to help him with the running game. And the more balanced your offense is, the more you can run the football. As we watched throughout the season, whenever we actually could run the football, you could clearly see that it helped the passing game, right? It gave us so much more room in the passing game downfield. So you can see the correlation there of a great running game is going to open up the passing game downfield. So you've got to do it to help Nuss. RY. Wait, who is this? Is this Ryan? This is Ryan Yates' father, I think. What's up, man? We were texting the other day. He says, Witt and Perk, one more year on the field is big. I mean, we knew we were going to get one more year with Witt Weeks. We didn't think we'd get one more year with Perkins until he got hurt. And now I can't see any other way. I can't see Perkins going to the draft. Not like this. Not after the season he just had. Not after the injury he just had. Kyle Skanes, did Payton go public yet? Who's Payton? Josh Pate? I don't know who you mean by that. IH2 Consultation says Sage was selfless in playing positions he had no previous experience. No, he did have previous experience playing corner and nickel. He did have previous experience. But he says no previous experience, all because of lack of numbers. Big props to Sage. I wish him well. I mean, it was lack of numbers, but lack of guys that could actually do it, who could actually play corner. There was just nobody. And Sage Ryan really stepped up for the team there. But he's gone now, and it sucks. I like Sage a lot. Great kid. But he needs to go be successful at Ole Miss. And just as long as he's not successful at LSU, when it's against LSU. Paul Tarver says, did not mean to be Captain Obvious. Thought Trades was going to be featured more as a receiver going forward. Well, bro, Paul, it's really people getting caught up in the labels of it. Is he a receiver? Is he tight end? Like, he's a pass catcher. He's a guy that you put out there and you put him in a formation where you know he can attack, safeties, linebackers. Maybe you match him up against corners, nickels. You really want to move this guy all over the place and put him in as many different formations and situations as possible so that he can exploit the defense. That's what you want. And so don't get too caught up in like the labels of whether Trades is a tight end or a receiver. Just think of him as a beast we give the football and hope and go take him over, brother. Because Trades, man, 6'5", 250, I think it's 250. Absolute freak. Freak. Kyle Skeens, Patrick Payton, brah. Yeah. Yes, indeed, Patrick Payton. Kyle Skeens says, come on, man, you need to lay the grass down. What? Jared Addison says, I hope Sage and Ole Miss fail miserably. Oh, I bet Kyle Skeens is saying you lay the grass down because of what I said about Sage Ryan. Oh, well. Well, that's just what I feel, I mean, I think he was a lot more effective than a lot of other players at LSU the last few years on defense. And I just think that's just an obvious truth there. The numbers bear that out. The eye test bears that out. The eye test also says he had some mistakes, like every other player on our defense, even with Weeks, even Harold Perkins, the two best defenders on LSU the last 2 years. So LSU building something really special this season with this transfer haul. I don't expect every one of these transfers to just be a hit. Don't expect that yourself either. Have some kind of some reality to this. But how do I put this? This is a this is a group that should be able to plug and play for LSU and deliver and produce on the field for LSU right out of the gates. That's I think is the easiest way I can put that. Good Lord, 3 straight blowouts in the college football playoff in the first round. The first time we've seen first round playoff games in college football postseason. Like, I'm okay with, okay, there was a blowout, okay, but like some of these matchups just should not have happened. I mean, I kind of love that Indiana was in it, but I kind of also get why it's like, fuck that, like they're going to get destroyed. And even by Notre Dame, a team that probably are overrated. I think that team's going to find out against Georgia, even with a backup quarterback, Gunnar Stockton. We've seen this before at Georgia, where backups come in under Kirby Smart and then win big games. So I think it's going to be Oregon versus Georgia in the national championship game. I know that's probably, a favorite pick of people. I don't know. I've seen a lot of Texas picks. I've seen a lot of Penn State picks, but we're going with Oregon and Georgia. I think that would be a very intriguing matchup as well. Kyle Skeen says, no, Lon, I asked if Pate, as in Patrick Payton, went public yet. Yet. That's why you need to stop smoking grass. Well, why? Where has Patrick Payton been called Pate anywhere? So maybe it's you who needs to stop smoking grass. Because, like, what do you mean? Like, Pate. No one's called him Pate before. How would I have recognized that? The only Pate I've heard of is Josh Pate. Like, no one's called Patrick Payton Pate, bro. Like, come on. Like, come on, Kyle, you wiener. I need you to care about these frivolous things, Kyle. I need it. I need it. Jared Addison says, wait until they go to 16 teams, blowouts galore. Well, I mean, I don't know. They need to configure the seating better, I think. I like the first round bye. I think the teams that like have buys, I think that should be how it is, But the best 4 have the bye, but it's just there's something that's just not quite right about expanding and expanding and expanding and expanding and expanding. And people keep saying, well, it's actually 16 that's the best. It's actually 16 that's going to be the right format. Well, then what are we waiting for? Go for it now. Make it 16 and just call it good. But I hate the tinkering of formats with whether it's the World Cup, whether it's the Champions League soccer, whether it's college football playoff and college football. I hate it. Like, obviously I love it when it does things I want it to do and the format I want it to be. Obviously I hate when it changes to something that's stupid, endless, and puts in unnecessary games for to fill their pockets. But really, it puts in unentertaining, pointless contests. Not even contests. So it's LSU have only themselves to blame because they should be in this right now. They should be playing in this and kicking some ass and going on a good-sized run. Kyle Skeens, you crazy man. Jared Edison says Texas versus Georgia for the third time. No one wants that. I didn't say I wanted that. I said it would be Georgia versus Oregon. That's my prediction. I don't know where you're saying you saw Texas versus Georgia for the third time, but no, I no. Paul Tarver says, does Colin Hurley get a serious look versus Baylor? I think so. I think so. I think also, you got to have respect for Garrett Nussmeier and how long he's waited and how hard he's worked. The fact that he's also returning, and you need to keep him in the game as long as it's a contest, still a contest, still a battle, and let him play all 4 quarters if necessary. But if this game is a blowout, if this game is even up 2 scores, you've got to get Colin Hurley time in this game. I think that would be a special moment for Colin. He's a really talented quarterback, and I think, how do I put this? I think not only is he the number 2 quarterback on the team right now behind Garrett Nussmeier, he has this mentality and the physical poise of a leader who's already gone through the grind for years already. He's got this vibe about him, Colin Hurley, that I just absolutely love watching him play football. Watching the touchdown pass he had in that spring game was disgusting. What a play. It was an outrageous pass. This is a young man who there's just something about Colin Hurley, and I think if he were to transfer, it would be a hit to LSU's quarterback future. I know we got Michael Van Buren, but you lost Ricky Collins, you lost AJ Swan. You need Colin Hurley at this point. You need Colin Hurley. Tiger Den Sports, what's up, brother? He says Oregon versus Georgia would be the best championship matchup. Yep, that's what I've been saying, man. And that's what I wanted to see is Oregon, Georgia. Ooh, Clemson score a touchdown, 17-31. This thing isn't over because this is Texas. Oh, this is so weird. A mashup of the Saquon Barkley play. What is this, a Nike commercial? What is this? Yep, I knew it would be a Nike. I knew it. Phil Knight, I told you so. Why didn't you put Bryce Underwood on the commercial, huh? Jared Addison says, I hope it's Oregon versus Georgia. Me too, man. I want to see actual elite versus elite. We know Georgia have the best defense in the country, likely. We know Gunnar Stockton has the mental fortitude to at least gut out a few wins here, a few tough wins, likely for Georgia. But they should be able to do this and to get to the championship game. They should be able to knock the shit out of a Notre Dame. They should be able to knock the shit out of a Penn State. And if they can't, that's almost a changing of the guard moment in college football. Like, is the SEC still dominant type of moment? Because that would be something else. 17-31. Well, I mean, like, this game isn't over, but I mean, Texas is gone. Texas. Hey, I'm from Texas. Tiger Den Sports. Who is the best coach, Dan Lanning or Kirby Smart? Well, obviously it's Kirby Smart, bro. Kirby Smart has how many championship rings on his fingers? How many did Kirby win with Saban? He won in 2009. He won in 2011. He won in 2012. 1, 2, 3. And then 2015? Yes, that first Clemson game. LSU, I mean, not LSU versus Clemson. That was in 2018. The first Alabama Clemson game. First of two with Deshaun Watson. That I believe was Kirby Smart's last title run with Saban. So he's got 2009, 2011, 2009 Alabama over Texas. Kirby Smart's defensive coordinator. Okay, 2011 shutout in the title game. Kirby Smart's defense for Alabama gets a shutout in the title game over LSU. Don't even let us cross the 50 until like halfway into the fourth quarter. Kirby Smart's defense breaks Colt McCoy's collarbone in the first 5 minutes of that game in their first title run to make it happen. Effectively ending the game as a contest in the first quarter, even though Gilbert came on and did really good. And then they destroy Notre Dame. And then they had the Auburn craziness happen to them that year in 2013 where they lose the kick six at Auburn. And then in 2014-15, they get back at it. Oh, sorry, no, they lost to Ohio State that year as well, I believe, 2014-15. It was the next year they get back to it with Clemson, and they lose to Clemson. Or sorry, they beat Clemson, and then the next year they lose the nail biter to Clemson. Kirby, how many championships? And then he's won back-to-back as a head coach at Georgia with Lanning underneath him on his staff. I mean, bro, of course Kirby Smart's better than Dan Lanning. I mean, the resume speaks for itself. The guy's got at least 6 national championships. Let's see when Kirby left Alabama, when he went to Georgia. I mean, Kirby Smart maybe even had a championship at LSU on Saban's staff there. Let's see. Nope, he missed that championship by a year. He was LSU's DB's coach in 2004. Oh, wow. Kirby Smart had a chance to. He missed that shit by a year. Kirby Smart was at Florida State in 2002-03, LSU in 2004, Georgia running backs coach in 2005, Miami. He goes with Saban. He leaves after the first title win over he leaves after the first title win over Clemson. He's won the SEC 3 times. He's lost another championship game, too, as well. He got to a championship game, another one. So, lost in overtime, barely. And one of those championship games, he kicked Saban's ass in a way that only Dabo Swinney had done in the title game before. Won the Broyles Award as an assistant. But then won, 3-time SEC Coach of the Year. Damn, dude has accomplished pretty much everything you could. So, here's all of it right here. Jared Addison, you look like Jermaine Clement. Usually I get these references, but I have no clue who Jermaine Clement is. I just looked that up. Oh, shit. You're right. Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. The butt chin's right there. Oh. Jared, you're hilarious. Everybody follow us on X. I've got to go get my son from this crazy party that Chelsea is putting on for him, but then Chelsea has to do some meeting with something going on. Oh, Flight of the Conchords, that's what he's from. Nice. That's where I recognized him. But yes, we got to go pick up our boy. And so we'll be signing off now, but I really wanted to get a show in where we go through this transfer haul so far, because it's been incredible. And LSU have been really just filling every single hole, ticking every box. And you just feel like every one of these guys are going to be a hit, but like, let's don't get too hyped up. Let's don't get too, we've thought that type of stuff before. Let's don't get lost in the haze of how great this is right now. We got to see this develop and become something that can actually win. Rick Clote says, what grade do you give LSU for portal transfers? A or A plus? An A plus, A, I think that's what we're talking about, because they even solved the quarterback issue, but also stacking at receiver makes you just feel more comfortable. You got an interior O lineman now to the group. You really have some talent at edge. You got just one guy in depth in the defensive line at DT, but he's a good talent to have in there. The guy who knows what it's like being coached by Bo Davis. LSU have identified every single place they absolutely had holes, and just like a good program does, they filled those holes as best they could and have really. This is probably the best moment in the Brian Kelly era, other than November 5th, 2022, when they beat Alabama and they rushed the field, maybe the Ole Miss game this year as well. That was a high point as well. But Brian Kelly had so much criticism his way, and he turned this shit around quick. All right, guys, take it easy. We'll be talking very soon. The weekend is not done yet. I'm sure we'll be going live if any more targets are to be had by LSU. Keep an eye out for this Northwestern offensive lineman, and keep an eye out for that article on LSUODYSSEY.COM. Everybody, Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey into the heart of LSU football.